Okay. Greetings to all of you, my good friends. This afternoon, I welcome you to today's conversation in mathematics, and where we want to look at one of the highly examined, topic, and that is quadratic equations. Quadratic equations. So I want to communicate to you on a subject, on a topic called quadratic equations. Okay. So just to start with, I am hoping that you are able to see the screen and actually you are able to hear me speaking and communicating to you. Okay. So in today's outline, what you're going to do, I will first bring to light some key concepts that guide quadratic equations. And afterwards, we will do an exam question from ECZ, okay, as an example, okay, just an example. So we'll do a question from Examination Council of Zambia to just estimate what we're going to discuss this evening. So what about quadratic equations? Okay, what about quadratic equations? The quadratic equations are the equations that bear the form, okay? These are the functions or equations that bear the form. The function of x, where this x is actually the variable. Let me write properly so that people are able to see. You are given an equation, a function of x, where x is a variable, of the form ax raised to the second degree plus b x plus c is equal to 0. Now you have to pay attention to this. This is the general form of a quadratic equation. So if you remember very well where you started from in grade 9, somewhere there, junior secondary, you learned about functions. You learned that you can have the linear function of the form ax plus b, where a is called a coefficient, right? A coefficient, a number before the letter is called a coefficient, then the letter itself is called a what? A variable, and this c is called a constant. This b is called a constant, the number without any variable. So you can have an equation of this form, which can be maybe, let's say, 3x plus 5. So these are called linear equations. Why are they linear? Because they are variable, okay, or the letter is not raised to the power t, to the power 2. But the quadratic equations are made in such a way that the letter is always raised to the degree what? To the degree 2, or to the second degree, or to the power 2. So now, you should bear in mind that the number that is where the variable x, in this case, x is, that number is always called a. Okay, that number is always called a. Then the number that is where x is raised to the power 1, okay, it's called what? B, regardless of the position where it sits. This is very important that I want you to understand. Then the number that is where there is no sign or no variable, there is no letter, is called what? Is called the C. That's called the constant. Okay. So in that case, I should be quick to mention to you that it does not mean that always these equations will only be x. No. Sometimes you may find that the variable that they can put, maybe it can be any other letter. Okay. We can have an equation of the form, let's say 3, let's say they use the letter y to the power 2 plus c 5 y plus c 7 equal to 0. This is still a quadratic equation, okay? It is still a quadratic equation, but my area of concern is to mention that this x is not always that it shall be x. So never be confused. They can put any letter, they can maybe write it maybe 5m squared, you know, minus, let's say, 3m plus 6 is equal to 0. This is still a quadratic equation as long as, the letter is raised to the power 2. Okay, that is a quadratic equation. So now the key thing that I want you to understand is how to identify in any equation, any form of the equation, which one is your A, which one is your B, and which one is your T, which one is your C. This is very important, and I want you to actually understand. So let me just make you understand which one is your A, which one is your B, and which one is your C in every situation. Let's have the first equation, equation A. 3x squared plus c, 5x plus c. Sorry, not plus c, let's say plus 6. Okay, plus 6 is equal to 0. So in this case, the value of A is equal to what? 3. The value of B is equal to positive 5. And the value of C is equal to positive what? 6. So this is the first thing that you do, is always to identify which one is the value of A, which one is the value of B, and the value of C. Now, it is not always that the equation will be like arranged in this manner. No. Sometimes the equation can be arranged like this. Okay, let's rearrange it. Let's say we have an equation positive 7 minus 5x plus, let me say 2x squared equals to 0. So what is the value of A? So regardless of where the value of A sits, it will still be the value of A. So in that case, you look, the value of A is where the variable is raised to the power 2. I've already told you that this variable can be any letter. So in this case, it will be what? The value of A will be positive 2. The value of B will be what? Negative 5 with the sign, get it. And then the value of C shall be equal to what? To 7. So in short, the message that we are delivering to you is that always, okay, always, and I repeat, always rearrange the values and make sure that this general equation is guiding you. The value of A is that one which sits where the variable is raised to the power 2. Then the value of B is that one which sits where x is raised, the variable is raised for 1, and the one where there is no letter of any, there's no variable, okay, is called the C. That's the value of C. So let's fast forward now, go to the general formula that you have learned for some time. Let me start with the general formula. X is equal to negative B plus C or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC, everything divided by 2A. Now see how I am writing. It is everything divided by 2A. Look at this line. This line has not ended just here. Have you seen, as others think? No. This line has to be extended all the way up to here. This is the formula. It is not within this syllabus to start defining this formula for you and start doing it for you, like how it is done. However, at some other higher level of mathematics, when you come in the university or when you do advanced levels of mathematics, we'll show you where this formula came from. Actually, this formula, you would be interested to learn it. It came from this same equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. You can solve this equation using completing the square method, and then it can give you this. But this is not the scope of the course of this topic that you are doing. So it is not expected of you to learn that. So now, let me comment. It does not mean that the letter here will always be X. No. It depends on the letter that is in your question. So look at the question. If your letter the letter in your question is M, so you will put M here. M is equal to. If your letter is Y in the question, then you put Y. Okay? That is how you solve. Y is equal to, then of course you would have already identified the value of A, the value of B, and the value of C. Let's go now straight forward and pick an exam question from the Examination Council of Zambia. This paper, as you can see, is an exam paper. This is an examination paper, Mathematics, August 11, 2022. And the question number that we are dealing with is question number, let me pick the question number, or question number 4B. Are you able to see question number 4B? It is 5x squared minus 9x. Okay. It is 5x squared, sorry. It's 5x squared. Let's write 5x squared minus, so this is our question. 5x squared minus 9x, you know, minus 4 is equal to 0. Minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay. The question says, give your answers correct to 2 decimal places. This is the question we have, an exam question. So now, let me be quick to indicate to you that every time you have this equation, you have 2 answers. There should be 2 answers, okay? There should always be 2 answers. That's what it means. So it just depends on the degree here. If the degree here is 1, then when you solve the equation, you should have 1 answer. But that will not be a quadratic equation again. So the next thing that you do from here is to identify which one is the value of A and B and C. Value of A in this case is equal to what? It's equal to 5. The value of B is equal to -9, and the value of C is equal to -4. Always never miss the signs. Then once you're done doing that, there are marks given. There is a mark to manage to identify which one is A, B. Don't just skip, go direct into the formula and start substituting. No, it doesn't work like that. So let's write the formula. Since the variable in the question is x, so your formula is start with x is equal to -b plus or minus, b squared minus 4ac, and everything divided by 2a. The next thing that you do from here is to start substituting. You start with negative here because there is the negative in the formula. It's negative what? Negative b. B is -9 again, so you have 2 negatives. Plus or minus, okay, open the bracket here, we put b is -9 squared minus 4 times a is what? 5, and c is what? What is c? C is -4, like that. Okay, then everything divided by what? By 2 times what? A. Our A is 5. There are marks allocated to doing this, to substituting again. So let's start substituting. So you have negative times -9 will give us +9, plus or minus, okay, the square root of, let's have 9 squared, -9. I've told you to put this in brackets because if you just leave it at -9, then you square that, it will give you a negative answer. So you have to put this in brackets. That's very important. It's extremely important. So 9 squared gives us 81 here, minus, let's say, 4 times 5, close, open the brackets, -4, and we close, that will give us -80 again. So it will be that thing whereby we'll say negative times negative, it will give us positive. 2 times a down is 10. So we'll say 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 plus 80, giving us 161. Everything divided by what? By 10. And so when we reach here, it becomes very easy. you separate the work because you need two answers. There are two signs here. There is positive and negative. So one of your answers shall be positive. Let me erase here now. Let me erase quickly. Then the other one shall be positive. It's very easy. So we'll say 9 plus c, the square root of 161, all over 10. Or the other one shall be 9 minus the square root of 161 all over 10. And when all that is done, you have 9 plus the square root of 161. Okay. 9 plus the square root of 961. The equation is giving us on top 21.68. 8, 577, 54. I've started with the first one. Okay. I've started with the first one, this one. Divided by 10. Okay. Let me divide it by 10. Is equal to. So it is giving us, let me write the answer in red, 2.168857754. Okay, this is now the question is saying leave your answers in what? 2 decimal places. So it's better you leave your answers to 2.17. That is the first answer. Then let's pick this one now, this part as well. Let's pick it and finish it from the other end. Okay, let's pick this one and finish it from the other end. Since the board is not enough, we will rewrite it here. 9, the square root of 161 divided by 10. 9 negative root of 161 is equal to, it has given us negative 3.688577554 divided by 10. And when you divide this by 10, it is giving us negative 0.368857754. And then your answer, since it has to be left in 2 decimal places, shall be 0.37, like this. So these are the 2 answers. And by so doing, you would have solved a quadratic equation. Do you have any questions? Okay. Wonderful.